listening to Temple Sports Hour on WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station.
It's playoff time, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? Welcome to the Temple Sports Hour. Kieran, McCauley, John Henry, as always, cruising along here on a Monday afternoon. And can I say it's beautiful today? Because it is a beautiful day. It seems like you guys are always getting on my case for my little intros to the show.
Well, you said it was beautiful the other day when it was like rainy and cloudy out there.
It wasn't. The forecast said otherwise, but all right. Well, it is always
it's beautiful
a beautiful
that the Flyers are in the playoffs.
Yes.
That's what's beautiful.
It's so great.
I'm a little bit nervous, though. As you were saying, we got the Rangers who, no, we're not idiots here. We know that the Flyers struggle against the Rangers, and it's going to be a very difficult series. But hopefully, in the end, the Flyers will prove to be the better team. You're right. We play the Rangers at MSG game after game after game after a couple weeks going by. But we'll see what happens when we play them every other day and see if we can wear them down.
Well, that's what I was saying. The Rangers are the Flyers' kryptonite. It's a fact. It's been proven, especially up at MSG. And you're right. I was saying to you about a week ago, I said, okay, yes, that seems to be the trend over the past 8 games. But that's because they're only playing them once every 2 months, once every month and a half. And I understand it's still the same team, but you're right. When you shrink it down 7 possible games in a row within over a 2.5-week stretch, all bets are off.
All bets are off, but it's a little bit scary when the Flyers were playing well when they lost to MSG, in MSG 3-1. They were playing well going into that game, and then it's like a screeching halt. That's the biggest alarming thing, because even when they are playing well, I understand every time they catch the Rangers, they're playing poorly, they're in a bit of a rut. Then you lose to the Rangers. I understand that, but man, it seemed like when they're playing well, they still lose to the Rangers. So how do you know what to expect?
Well, you heard how confident I was when they played them about 2.5 weeks ago, and I was saying, oh, they're playing so well. They just took it to the Blackhawks, the Blues. They played really well against the Kings, and what do you expect? They're going to lose a game here and there, but now they're going to MSG. I'm telling you, man, they're feeling real good about themselves. And not only do they lose that game, but then they get thrown into such a tailspin when they play the Rangers. It's almost like a disease. It's not like they just lose that game, but then all of a sudden it's like the first game of the season where they're out of sync, the power play's not clicking, the penalty kill's not great. The Rangers do bring out the worst in the Flyers. Now let me ask you something. Are you confident, or I should say, how confident are you, or better yet, how concerned are you about playing the Rangers?
I think every fan has got to be concerned, right? I mean, of course I'm concerned. What I'm looking at, though, is that it's playoff time, and I'm just so excited to get it going no matter who they're playing. But once that puck is dropped and once the reality sets in that we are playing the Rangers at MSG, I'm going to become more nervous and more nervous and more nervous. Listen, we're talking about trying to win the series. All I'm looking for is to get a lead in one of these games. We seem to never even lead whenever we play the Rangers at MSG, let alone win these games. One of the biggest keys, though, is the Flyers, just about every one of these games, they have to get off to a very good start, because we've seen leads. Every time the Rangers go up 1, 2, even 3-0, it just sits there. So the Flyers have to get off to a good start and make the Rangers play differently and make them, uncomfortable during these games.
Well, the thing with the Rangers is, too, it seems like when they score, it counts for 2 goals. It's like when they're up 1-0, it's like, oh man, we have to score this next goal or the game's over.
Because these games are so tight defensively.
Yeah.
And when the other team scores, it's like, oh, we got to work just so hard just to get a shot off.
The Rangers' defense does not give you anything. And we talked about it last Friday, how when you have a goaltender like Lundqvist, who is so strong and does not give up any weak goals whatsoever, they have a defense who's very strong too, but they're allowed to be extra aggressive. And you see a guy like Giroux struggles. They do not give up that blue line to save their life. It's like you said, it's almost like we're praying for chances, just praying for a goal in these games. Their defense is so strong because they have a guy like Lundqvist who backs them up. They can be aggressive because if for whatever reason they get burned a little bit, he has their backs, and you know that he is going to stand on his head and he's only going to give up 1 or 2 goals a game.
You know what's incredible? Watching that Flyers-Penguins game the other day, just from watching it looked like the Flyers had a lot of room skating around, shooting. They had so much more room than when you play the Rangers. But the Penguins usually beat the Rangers, and then we always lose to the Rangers. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's the way I look at it. The Penguins are probably the most talented.
Yep.
The Rangers are probably... I would say they're most aggressive. Wow. And I would say the Flyers are a combo of a talented and aggressive team. But they're not one way or the other. So you look at the aggressive team gets burned by the talented team, like the Penguins. They're so finesse and have such great chemistry with Crosby, Malkin, Kunitz. I can go on. And then they struggle because they're so aggressive, but the Penguins are so smart and so quick to just get rid of it that quick, aggressive forecheck that the Rangers throw at you is not effective. But the Flyers are not quite as talented, so they struggle. But then they're not as bam, as aggressive, as physical as the Rangers, so that's why they do well against the Penguins. It's just kind of like a domino effect. It's a circle. There's no start and no end. One team can beat the other team, It's like the Big Five.
It's just amazing. Watching the game, though, it just feels like, I feel like the Rangers are the best team in the NHL whenever we play. I'm like, why don't they have more points? They only have 2 more points than us. Not mistaken. You're right. It's just a horrible matchup, and it's unfortunate for the Flyers because they can find a way to win this series. We're going to be as confident as anybody going through, even if we play Boston, because we just took down the Holy Empire in our regards. So it'll be interesting to watch, and we need to pull. Who are you rooting for in that Columbus-Pittsburgh series? Because we always play the Penguins well. We've played them well recently.
You root for Columbus because with the mathematics of it, if the Flyers win, they can either play Tampa Bay, Montreal, or Boston. Okay, so then you look at it and you say, okay, well, if Columbus wins, then okay, please, just by all means, play the Bruins. I don't want to see the Bruins. And you have to expect, yes, Detroit actually does have their number this year, winning 3 of 4. But you have to accept that the Bruins are probably going to win that series. You can fantasize all you want with the numbers in the regular season with the Red Wings, but Boston's just so strong, and there's a reason why they won the President's Trophy. So they're going to probably move on. So by all means, if anyone that's behind us can win, take it. And the Penguins are still the Penguins, just mind you that, too. Yes, the Flyers, all bets are off when the Penguins play their best game. The Flyers always seem to match it and beat them in console and all that great stuff. But it's still Sidney Crosby. You do not want to see him for 2.5 weeks. It's still scary.
And we hate him, too. We want him out. So they revealed it yesterday, the games when we're playing the Rangers. So we were talking about it personally. We like the Thursday. It's the weekend for us. You get it going Thursday night. We don't have that night class on Wednesday. It'll be good on Thursday. Then you jump to Sunday. Do you like the 2 days off, or would you rather have just 1 day off and then you jump right back into it? Or do you think the 2 days off could definitely benefit the Flyers? Because as we've been saying all show, the Rangers are a lot more of a physical team, and the Flyers could be the more tired team going into the game.
And that's the thing. That's what makes it so scary, because it's like, you're right. That was my argument. I was saying, okay, the Rangers can come back and beat you, but they might have 3 days off, 2 days off when they find a way to meet you in the regular season. And with the stretch of a 2.5 week series, hopefully at least, that you never know. I mean, the way the Flyers played MSG. But the thing is, you're right. I don't like the 2 days, but that being said, hey, if you win, and the Rangers got to sit around a couple days and they got to think about it. It's one of those things where if you lose, you want to play the next day.
If you can just win, if you win game 1, the Rangers' psyche might be completely different for game 2. They might go away from their game plan. But if you keep giving them what they want, if you keep giving them leads, if you keep letting them play their game, the Flyers have no chance to win this series. The Flyers need something to happen in game 1 to change the psyche of the series.
And the one thing that can help them is the power play. Yeah. And here's the reason why I don't think the Flyers are going to win this series, and it scares me to death. If you look at the Rangers in the NHL, they're 3rd in the penalty kill and 4th in NHL in goals against, and that's because of Lundqvist obviously is the key factor. But Al Morganti was even saying on CSN that you have to believe that the special teams is really going to be the deciding factor in this series.
I believe the power play will be crucial. The Rangers are very good at killing penalties. They're a pretty disciplined team, but when you have an advantage, the Flyers have 2 big forwards on their power play in Hartnell and Simmons to get in front of Lundqvist and cause the traffic that you need to get goals by him. So any advantage you have becomes critical.
Well, he's right. But the thing is, that's what I said, if that's going to be the key to this series, which I definitely think it will be, the Flyers do not have the upper hand in that.
No, but they get a lot of power plays against the Rangers. Watching these Flyers-Rangers games, they seem to get a lot of power plays, but their
But
goals,
isn't that what's scary? That's what's scary about it. That means they're getting so many opportunities, and yet they can't cash in.
So,
you even brought up a point. How good was that Flyers power play going into that game at MSG about a month ago?
And remember their first power play they had in that game, they had it set up the entire time in the Rangers zone. Didn't end up scoring. And then I think they got like 5 or 6 power plays that game, but I don't know, you're right. You're coming up against a brick wall when you play them, and But right now, the Flyers' power play looks pretty good. I got a couple,
but it's just like I said. When they go to MSG, it's just all gonna end. It's just like, okay, it does not. The Flyers could be on a 30-game win streak, and then when they go to MSG, it would look like they've lost 30 straight games. It's just that's what's so scary about playing these guys. The one positive I like to look at, I like to look in the history books a little bit. In the past 5 series that the Flyers have made the playoffs, because you have to throw out last year because they missed it. So in the past 6 years, I guess, 4 of the last 5 round ones they've won. And they're 2-1 against teams in their own division. The only time they lost was to the Penguins in 2009 when they went on to win the Stanley Cup. So they usually do a good job of moving on. And hey, yesterday they take Carolina into a shootout. Last time they ended the regular season on a shootout. They went to the Stanley Cup, big guys. So not that
they won, but they won the shootout last time.
I know. I'm just trying to be a little positive.
I thought they were going back to yesterday's game. That was a great sign. I know the game was meaningless, but just to still see them fight and not give up, being down 4-1 in the second period in a meaningless game, showed me a lot. It showed me that this team is still gonna,
kicking.
No matter what, even when they're trailing in the third period, as they've done all year, no matter even in a meaningless game, is still going to bring it their all and still go out 100%.
And I'll tell you what, I think they're going to bring that attitude from the third period in the first. Chase said it before the show on the main event. He was saying, they're going to come out guns a-blazing. And I like the way he's phrased that because he's right. They have to come out. Yeah. There's no secret that they've lost 8 straight. Yep. They know. They're sick and tired of hearing it from us. They're hearing it from the rest of the media. They're going to come out fired up. And Claude Giroux said after yesterday's game when he was asked about how they feel about going into this series, he said this, and it's easier said than done, but he's like, we need to play our game. We go up there and everyone talks about how they dictate us. He said, we need to just go out there and do what we always do.
Well, I think it's important for us to focus on our game. I think can't be worrying about the Rangers too much. I think we got to worry about what we do and how we play as a team, and I think that's what we're looking for.
Well, that's great and all, but it's one of those things where you can say it, you can walk the walk and talk the talk, but if you can't go up there and win, and you can't go up there and dictate a game, and go up there and shove it in front of all those New York cockroach fans, then this really means nothing. It's just words. That's the problem.
And Giroux, I thought, got injured in the game yesterday. He got drilled. He got drilled with a puck, and he got out. He walked over, went to the bench. I think Jim McCrossin, the athletic trainer for the Flyers, asked him if he wanted to go to the locker room. He was like, no, I'm fine. Came back out on the ice flying. So that was a good sign. The last thing you want is injuries or something stupid like Hartnell to happen to Hartnell. But hopefully he doesn't get the suspension, and they're healthy. They're healthy. That's the most important thing. And
when you bring up health, Steve Mason's listed as day-to-day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think it's going to affect this series, but even if he's not 100%, we need full hands on deck for this.
Berube said he'll probably start game 1, but you're right. Even if he's not 100% healthy, going up against Lundqvist, who's already better than him, going against maybe a 90% Mason, I don't like my chances. And we've said, and I think it's just going to come down to the goaltending. As we said earlier, the difference is Lundqvist against Mason. Lundqvist was not going to let up any easy goals, and Mason, you never know, could let up an easy goal here or there, and that could dictate a game.
Well, the way you look at it is, Lundqvist is going to win you games.
Yeah.
Mason's just not going to lose you games. He's not going to be the... I mean, you look at this year, really, how many times can we say, my God, if Mason just blew that one for us? It never really happened. Knock on wood going into the playoffs. I mean, because like you said, he's never started in a playoff series, which is a little scary for the Philadelphia Flyers. It's a completely different animal than the Blue Jackets. So you look at this and you say, okay, he needs to be perfect. He has to be, because you're basically going up against an ace. And that's what's so scary about it.
Yeah.
But I would say we look at the keys, John. What is the one key you feel that the Flyers need to do if they want to win this series?
I think getting off to a good start and changing the way the Rangers play and changing, like I said, their mindset. So many times going up to MSG, even in Philadelphia in recent years, even though the Flyers have won 2 games this year at home, the Rangers, whenever they get off to a good start, the game is not at all where we want it to be. Earlier this year, we're playing other teams, even against the Hurricanes the other day, down 4-1 in the second period. You kind of felt that they were going to come back because there was a lot of open ice, and they ended up coming back, tying it up, losing in a shootout. Even against the Penguins, trailing in all these games, coming back. But against the Rangers, you can't do that. You're not going to get away with it, and they're going to be right on top of you every time you get the puck. So in my opinion, getting off to a good start, getting that first goal or two, and having them play your game and not playing theirs.
Well, you brought up how they don't give you any room, and that's what causes turnovers, and that's what scares me the most. That's my key. They cannot turn the puck over. Because you saw that last game, the first goal the Rangers scored, it was off a turnover, a weak turnover. You cannot turn the puck over. You cannot give them extra possessions in the offensive zone. You need to dictate the pace of the game, and you need to be on the attack. And Tiemann even brought up, he recognizes that it's really on the defenseman, and he really felt that turnovers are going to be the key to this series.
No question about it. They're going to be favorites. And, we have to be smart. We go on there and we got to play a smart road game and not turn the puck over. I think last few games we played there, we turned the puck over too many times and they're really quick. And when you do that, they're going to score. So we just have to be smart. And obviously we know it's going to be a tough place to play, tough team to play against, but, I'm really confident.
So you heard our arguments, turnovers, special teams. John, you put this all together, you put it on a plate, you serve it to you, and I ask you, who wins this series and how many games?
If all those things happen,
No, I'm just saying, just in general, you've heard all these things. You heard how great the Rangers are in the penalty kill. You've heard how great they are not giving up goals, but yet they only score 2.6 goals a game, so they're not exactly an offensive juggernaut. But that being said, it's at MSG for 4 games. Wells Fargo Center for 3 if necessary. I mean,
if I'm a betting man, deep down, I think the Rangers win this series in 7. I think the Flyers will squeak out one win in MSG. They'll be good at home, but they're going to lose this series, unfortunately, in 7 games. The Rangers are going to be a little bit too much. They got the edge in goaltending. They got the edge in talent, I guess. And they're just better than the Flyers, and I think that they're going to beat us in 7.
Playoff hockey is back in Philadelphia, and that's what's so exciting about this. But we want to know what you guys think. Do you have confidence in this Flyers team? Because, like we've said before, all bets are off when you go to the playoffs. All bets are off when you play a team in your division, especially a rival like the New York Rangers. And it's we were hungry, and the Flyers are hungry. They missed the playoffs last year, and you factor that in. Hey, who knows? All bets are off.
If history repeats itself, the Flyers have beaten the Rangers the last 3 times they've faced them in the playoffs. In '87, they beat them. In '95, they beat them. And then '97, in the conference finals, they ended up beating them. Obviously, this is a different year, but hopefully, if that trend stays true, make it 4 in a row.
How confident and how concerned are you guys? 215-204-9449. When we get back, Bills are starting to get on a little roll. We'll be right back with you guys on the Temple Sports Hour. Time in the WHIP studios is 12:22.